You feel the need to.
Yeah, well, I think when it comes to body count, the way I kind of view it is like me personally, I don't want to date somebody who either currently is or was promiscuous. So I think having a high body count is proxy for promiscuity, or not necessarily, but if you've had 40, 50 previous sexual partners, I mean, to me, there's also just sort of an innate, like, if you've had a lot of sexual partners, a girl, for example, that I'm interested in dating, it's kind of like on this visceral level, I find it a bit gross. If before me, they've slept with 50 dudes, 100 dudes, I would find that a bit repulsive. I also think that there's a higher likelihood of infidelity. I mean, they've done some studies on this. The more previous sexual partners you've had, the greater likelihood of infidelity, greater likelihood of reporting relationship and marriage dissatisfaction, greater likelihood of divorce. So,
Well, it's
Can I
interesting
ask?
that you
Let
say
me
that.
ask. I want to ask you
sure.
something though. Okay,
Sure,
let me
sure,
ask you
sure.
this. You meet a girl.
Sure.
You fall in love with her.
Yep.
Okay, and she knows this about you.
knows.
She knows how you feel about having a high body count.
Yeah.
So she's not going to be honest with you.
I hope she would.
She's
be.
not going to be.
I hope she would.
She's
be.
not going to be because she
already
knows
knows
how
what you
you
think.
feel about it. And she's in love with you and you're in love with her.
Well,
Now,
She
all of a
lies.
sudden, later on,
Oh, I find out.
Yeah.
What do I do?
right. Would
So
that
let's-
change the game?
Sure,
No, it's a very
over.
honest question.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over?
It's done.
Really?
You're in love with this girl?
Let's say, yeah, we're engaged, fiance.
Wow.
I'm calling
that
off
to
the
me
wedding.
is shallow as shit.
I don't think it's shallow.
I think it's totally shallow because you're
No.
in love with this girl.
Well, but he values
Well, I wouldn't-
truth.
Yeah,
He
but
values truth.
but the
She
point
lied.
is,
Yeah, you value truth.
She lied.
But
If she
she
could lie-
lied because she knows how you feel, and she was in love with you, and
But
you fell in
shouldn't-
love
you
with
shouldn't-
her.
Well, she shouldn't have lied.
And just because she slept with more men that you
Well, not
didn't feel
necessarily.
comfortable
Not
with,
necess-
I mean, is you're judging?
But we all
You're
make,
judging.
Well, I am judging, but we all make sort of discernments when it comes to the types of people that we're going to partner with. I mean, we all make judgments.
I think that if I found my girlfriend had over 100 body count and it was 200, I really wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah,
Because
some people
she's-
don't care.
because she's in love with me right now.
Sure, and some
And it's
people
our life together, and
That-
we've been
and that's
together
totally
for
fine.
13 years. But am I going to throw the towel in?
No, and look, everyone's entitled to having their different preferences, standards, and boundaries. I think for you personally, if it doesn't bother you, then I think that's totally fine. For me, I just think it's a difference of values when it comes to sex and when it comes to, it would be, I guess it'd be almost a compatibility thing. It'd be a difference of values. And it's just, both men and women want to pick the optimum partner. And I do think if you've had a promiscuous past, that is sort of in my view, again, my own personal view, some people don't think this way, other people do. I think it's a negative mark on you.
And you're a man of God, correct?
I mean, yeah.
I like the quotes.
Yeah,
I like
I'm
the
a man
quotes.
of God.
You're judging.
But we all make judgments.
You shouldn't.
Because
Not if you're a man of God.
But for example, I mean, you said that you don't date you don't date women who are muscular, for example.
That's just my preference.
But this is also a
But
preference.
it's a
for me.
visual preference.
But couldn't you make the argument that someone's behavioral characteristics is more important than just how they present visually? Because like when it comes to your sexual activity in the past, that's like something to do with your behavior.
True.
So can you
But
argue
it's not
like
always in such a specific way that you think it is.
What do you
know
mean?
what I mean? Like, I don't want to. I'm just gonna tell my story with
Okay,
it.
all right.
So
Okay.
my story, I obviously, once again, I'm not making any excuses. I'm just sharing my experience through what happened. But growing up, I feel like I was very sucked into this whole modern society thing. You had to do it because it was cool. You had to do it because your friends were doing it. If you didn't do it, like, you were ugly. Just like simply for like male validation, basically. And that's kind of why. But once I like grew up, once I got older, like I said earlier, I developed better morals and values for myself, especially like sexually. And I didn't really know that until I met my current boyfriend now, who kind of had to teach me these things because I didn't have anyone to teach me those things.
Donated $69. I'm trans, biologically female, virgin, and raised by a Republican father. I think body count needs a more nuanced view. Michael Knowles was promiscuous in his past,
Was he?
but changed.
I don't think he
Women
was.
can change too. In short, case-by-case basis.
Okay, well, Victor, thank you for the TTS. Appreciate it.
And I'm not saying I changed, but I definitely developed and, I definitely grew. And like I said, growing up, I didn't really have anyone to tell me, like, the true value of sex until I met my boyfriend, who kind of shared that with me.
So you have changed, though. Just like, I mean, again, yes, people grow, people change. That's what life is. It's about growing. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Well, I think, Brian, the great thing about today, this country, us, is you can have your preference.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. When I was younger, I felt the same way. And I read this interesting study recently, how many adult men are satisfied with their sex life. How many adult men? And it was like horrendously low. It was like 22% were satisfied with their sex life, because men in general, they do not marry their best and favorite sexual partner. They usually marry someone they want to be the mother of their child. And they put different values upon who they want to raise their children than who they want to hang and bang with. Right? But then down the road, what that will lead to a lot of times is like, oh God, I love her. She's a good mom, but the sex just isn't great. And so
I think you can work on that, though.
Do
like
you?
if you really care. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do
Do you?
Can you?
Absolutely.
Do you?
Is it really?
Absolutely.
Oh God, son.
But I mean,
I know.
Son,
you can.
I do think you can work with each other
like
to
if
make
you
your sex life
communicate with your
better,
partner.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're really close.
What's the longest you've been with somebody?
5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about.
What do you mean?
You know about the dip.
Do you get bored?
No, he
about the
doesn't
dip.
yet. No, he doesn't yet. He doesn't know it yet.
You know about the dip?
The dip comes at about 7
Oh,
years.
okay. I'm still working on it.
Yeah,
I'll get
it
to
comes
7
at about
years
7 to
eventually.
10.
Well, I mean, certainly I think like there's a certain excitement when you're first with somebody and it's new, and certainly things maybe slow down a little bit, but I mean, I think if you communicate with your partner, whoa,
Spice it up.
what are you talking about?
No, it's just funny. Now start adding kids into the equation. You got to take the little kid. Little Johnny's got to go to practice. Little Lucy's got to do this. And you take the kids into it. You take your working full time to make a living. You take her taking care of those kids and or not working. You put all this into your life. And
then you put the finances in it. And you
Oh,
got to
yeah.
pay the
You
bills.
gotta
You
pay
got to
this.
put your kids through private school.
And then you have to fight for sex. Not fight for it, but you have to fight
For that alone
to
time.
find time to have good sex. You have to fight for time when the kids are asleep. Are they sleeping, honey? I don't know. Go check. Close the door. No, we can't.
So-
the kids are on the way.
so wait.
And then you
So-
don't
so-
want to plan it,
so
because if you
wait,
plan
hold
it,
on,
the
hold on.
spontaneity is totally gone.
But are you arguing that I should, in order to have a fantastic sex life with my future long-term partner,
Well, here's what I'm
wife,
arguing.
she ought to have a high body count? Is that what we're
No.
arguing?
Take the words fantastic sex life, long relationship out. Just take it out. I mean, it's a dream. It's a dream. It's hard because remember, you're not going to marry your best sexual partner. You're going to marry someone who's got these matronly qualities that's you can count on, that's not that experienced, that probably hasn't been with anybody who's going to rival you in bed, because we don't want you to be insecure about
It's not.
that.
It's not about insecurity, though.
Well,
It's not. It's not about insecurity.
Look,
I mean, okay. So there is this concept, though.
or dirtying your woman with their bodily fluids.
I mean, but like, okay, let me ask you a question, Dan. Okay, we're getting into the juicy stuff here. So would you not feel a little bit, it's not even coming from a place of insecurity, but let's say you were about to sleep. I know you're in a 7-year relationship. Let's say you weren't in a 7-year relationship. You're with a new girl and you find out, obviously it's your first time being intimate together, and you know, maybe there's not an understanding between you two when it comes to any sort of commitment, right? Because you just start dating. You wouldn't find it you wouldn't take pause if she had slept with a guy the night before she sleeps with you?
I don't think he'd ask.
If it's a hookup, no, I don't. You don't ask. It's none of your business. No more than it is hers to ask you. You just hope they're showered. You know what I mean? No. We're talking hookup.
Okay.
We're talking hookup. If I'm dating a girl and I'm interested in her and we think we have a thing, but it's not official, you know, I will say this. When I was younger, I cared a lot more.
Based.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
No, when I
Okay.
was younger, you know, like,
Yeah.
oh, she can't sleep with this many people. I had more rules.
Yeah.
I had more rules, and I thought what would.
That was smart. That was smart.
Yeah,
Yeah, but as you get older, those rules go away.
yeah. I
Bring it back.
I said
You
I had
can't.
more rules. I had more rules. You know,
Yeah.
she's got to do this. She's got to do that. You know, she has to be this. You know, I like this body count. Ew.
Sure.
But you know, as you get older, you just want someone who's great. You just want someone who you can count on. Want someone who's loyal, that's going to be there. You want someone that you get along with. You know, you want someone who has kind of similar values.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the body count becomes such for me, an unimportant thing.
Very
Sure, that's
irrelevant.
fine.
Now, look, if she was at, 500, 1,000, yeah. But, you know, if it's 10, if it's 40,
So in other words, he's saying he's not going to date a porn star.
no, I've done that.
Okay. But you
Yeah.
dated, but you didn't like it was.
I
was
wasn't
it
marrying-
dating?
I
It was-
wasn't
It
marrying
was just more of a
anybody.
hookup.
We dated.
Well, yeah, you said they were broken.
It was
pretty
dated.
much
Yeah.
in your book.
You know, I found that most porn stars and strippers have some kind of brokenness in them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but maybe that's not fair for me to judge and say that.
Sure.
You know, because I know I can speak for myself. I had a brokenness in me. You know,
Right.
I saw what my dad did when I was 10 years old. I was coming back from Asia. My dad and I were together at the hotel, and I'm 10. And he says to me, he said, you read the book, you said this.
Yeah.
He goes to the bar at the airport the night before, and he gets 2 prostitutes. I'm 10 years old. We're walking to the hotel, and he's got the 2 prostitutes with him, and he looks at me and says, hey, do you want one?
Yikes.
I'm
That's
10.
Yikes. That's yikes.
You know, I hadn't even reached puberty. We go in the room. It's a 1-bedroom. It's a 1-bedroom, 1 bed. And my father has sex with these 2 women on the bed while I'm there. And my back is to him. You know, I'm 10. I pretend like I'm asleep. And you know, the bed's just...
Is it TOS? It might be a little...
Guidelines.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I think it might be a little iffy for YouTube.
Yeah. So
But, yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
so the idea of that, and you know, for me, there was a brokenness when it came to relationships and when it came to women.
Yeah.
Right. I followed my dad. You know, you had a lot of girls that made you feel cool, and I didn't realize how much I was hurting the women that I
Sure.
was lying to, that I was cheating on, because I never saw that with my dad. You know, and it took me a long time to say, look, if you're going to be with somebody, have enough courage to say, hey, I'm interested in somebody else. You know, I'm sorry. You know, do the human across from you, regardless of their sex or sexual preference, the right thing, and just, you know, be a good human being.
Sure.
But so we're going back to body count, right? So body count.
Yeah.
I feel like in the sense that if 2 people were just hooking up, that question wouldn't really come into play, because those 2 people are hooking up just to hook up. You know what I mean? If they were getting in a relationship, it would make sense why.
What the? Holy fuck. Sorry, we got fucking emergency vehicles going by. One of the perks of being centrally located. No, I don't have an issue with other people having a different view on this than I do. I just know from my own personal preferences when it comes to picking a partner, I'd certainly prefer someone who has a lower body count.
Have you ever had a one-night stand?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. And did you ask the body count?
No.
No.
I don't make a habit. I certainly don't make it a habit of having one night stands. I'm more a relationship. Like if I have sex with a girl, I want there to be a continuity. I want to continue seeing her. But I've had a one night stand. No, I don't think I asked.
Yeah,
her body
again,
count then, but this was a long
why
time
are
ago.
so many men unhappy in their marriages with their sex life? Because they marry somebody that they want to be a mother more than they marry for the sexual partner. And I'm not saying right
I think
or wrong.
you can have both, though. I think.
But no,
He's
but
like,
what
"Nah,
he's
you
saying
can't
is
have both."
then you become occupied with so many things because you have kids, you create a family.
Yeah, it becomes
they're
harder.
In school and things
Becomes
like that.
harder.
You just
Well,
don't
sex
really
is the
have
last
the
thing
time.
on your mind when you're having kids and
Exactly.
raising a family and taking care of the house and doing the laundry and doing the dishes and doing this and doing that.
Sure.
Sex is the last thing. So they're working their ass off as a mom and doing the house all day. And then the husband comes home and it's like, okay, babe, let's do this. She's like, seriously? That's the last
that
thing that's
happen a
on my
lot?
mind. Yes, that happens.
Really?
Absolutely, it happens.
Well, yeah, there's dead bedrooms.
Okay,
and
think
stuff,
about
and-
this. Okay,
Yeah,
not to
but-
go here too deep, but at the same time, the women that are going into menopause, you guys aren't even remotely thinking of that yet.
To be fair, I did date a woman who was 45. Just gonna say.
She's not even in menopause
Not
yet.
yeah, really.
No,
I
50.
thought this starts
50. No,
around 45.
it depends on the woman.
Yeah,
But my
okay.
point
All right.
is
if you
that
know any
let's-
50-year-olds, get me in touch and I'll see what I
Okay,
can do.
so they're going through menopause. The last thing on their mind is sex. They're having hot flashes. They're miserable. They're not sexually active. Okay, so what happens to you at that point in time? You're still sexually active. She's like, no, I'm done, dude. What do you do?
What do you?
I mean,
am
are
I
you?
married to
My
her?
question
Am
is
I-
that it's more along the lines of this is where it's like the men have to come up to the plate and actually like seriously.
foreplay? Are we talking about foreplay?
Yeah, you know what? If the relationship goes on, they just
foreplay.
just get it over with.
It's like you got 2 minutes. Now I got 5 minutes. But it's what I'm trying to say is the women aren't going to always be that sexually active as your relationship continues. You do have to work on it. The women have to work on it. The men have to work on it. But
Sure,
I don't think the
yeah.
body count's really that important at that time
Oh, so you're-
whatsoever.
well, I think the previous example you gave was like, well, what if you're in love with her and then you find out her body count? I mean, that's something that I would probably ask very early on, and the relationship just wouldn't proceed. I think,
Okay.
Look,
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, if
totally
that's what
respect that
you're-
you have
totally,
your idea
yeah.
of what you want.
Yeah.
I think that's great because I think too many people go in not having an idea of what their values or the moral hierarchy is,
Sure.
and then they go in and think, "Oh, love's going to take care of it
Yeah.
all," and it doesn't.
Sure.
Right? But I think. At the end of the day, a
You
blue
get-
pill
you-
takes
are
care
you
of
I've been
everything.
looking at the entire podcast, and I'm like,
Are you
the
going to take the red
blue,
pill?
the
You should take the
blue,
red
or
pill.
the
I think you take
red?
both.
I think. Oh, purple
Blue
pill.
or
Okay,
the
there you
red?
go.
I'm a
take both.
purple pill. I'm a purple.
Okay, there you
I
go.
am.
So
There-
just to close this loop.
Yeah.
Look, you can have really good sex when you've been in a long relationship.
Yeah.
It just looks different than it did in the beginning.
Wait, what are we talking about
It
here?
looks different in
It's?
this-
What's it?
Sex
Oh, okay,
looks
okay,
different.
okay.
In the beginning when you're dating,
Yeah.
you're hours, you're jumping off this, the dresser, so to speak, and it's the most important thing. And
Yeah.
anybody is always ready and available in the beginning. And then eventually it changes, but other things change with it. You can still have good sex. It's just you have to work for it and you have to plan it a little bit more.
Got it.
Planning sucks.
Got it. We have a couple chats here. We have